Okay, first of all, buy the merch, please. Second of all, please subscribe. We're getting close to 175k, which is most of the way there to 200k. Like, we're getting pretty close. I would love to hit 200k. I said I'd do a Dracovish cosplay when we did. If you enjoyed the videos, if you want to support me, I am doing this full time now. Please subscribe. It's free. I make videos every day. I'm doing my best, and this is definitely like a trial period for me. So, if you guys want to support me doing this full time, or you just want to support, somebody for doing what they love and, making content about a game that they love, consider subscribing. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about the teams and the trends that did well at 2020 Oceania Internationals. The Oceania International Championships? What does it state? Why is it OC? Oh, OC stands for Oceania. Okay, anyway. So basically, for those of you who don't know, the largest level of tournament for Sword and Shield happened recently, last weekend. Probably from when I'm posting this. Happened last weekend. There are 4, so let's talk about tournament structure really quick. The World Championships, there's 1 of each year. There's 4 internationals each year, and then a bunch of regionals, and then local events. So, this is our first Sword and Shield International. We saw some really interesting trends. I thought I'd just go ahead and talk about the Pokemon that were used, and how the meta kind of looks right now, what's popular, maybe things that are missing if I see anything that jumps to my mind, in terms of things that are, like, trending down in usage, that kind of thing. All good stuff. So, basically, this is an Boston City Post. It's run by Sam Temple, who is a really nice guy. They do a good job of putting out a bunch of good content, including the top 64 teams from almost pretty much every major event, to my knowledge. So, yeah. So these are the results, and as well as the countries that did well. So Marco Silva from Italy won the tournament. He won $5,000. And his team, I talked about this in a recent video, but his team was Whimsicott, Duraludon, Dracovish, Rotom Heat, Sylveon, and Conkeldurr. And that's kind of an interesting team if you look at... Let's take a look at these other columns, right? Because you're going to start seeing something interesting. Second through 9th, all the top 8 except for Marco had a Togekiss. He was the one player who did not have a Togekiss, and he still managed to win the tournament. Then in top 8, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Tyranitar. We see a ton of Arcanine. Arcanine, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a trend that's really interesting to me personally. I have felt that Arcanine is not that good this format. So I'm very surprised to see it do so well. Yeah, very, very surprised. We also see 2 Gourgeist in top, 1 in 2nd place, 1 in 3rd place. Gourgeist is a Pokemon that is not thought to be extremely good, in my opinion. The way that we're going to do this, just so everyone's on the same page, is I'm going to talk about the top 8 teams, because that's kind of a big divider. Top 8 is also the top cut. So, yeah, we're going to talk about the top 8 teams, and then I'm going to go ahead and talk about the rest of the top 64 teams. I'll scroll through them, see if anything is interesting. So yeah, trends that I'm noticing, tons of Togekiss on almost every team, lots of Arcanine, which is surprising to me, and 2 Gourgeist in top 4. What that tells me is that Gourgeist was a really good call for this tournament, and it's a little surprising to me. It's a good Trick Room Pokemon. It has Will-O-Wisp, I think that Eduardo ran Will-O-Wisp, Trick Room, Seed Bomb, and Trick or Treat to turn typings to Ghost type, to add a Ghost typing to a Pokemon, so we could hit it with super effective with this Tyranitar. It's a cool Pokemon. It's just not the kind of Pokemon you would expect to be getting both 2nd and 3rd at an international. I don't know if Regav ran the same set, but it is a good Pokemon. In terms of typings, it's just surprising, right? It's not the fact that we have 2nd and 3rd place Pumpkin is very interesting to me, and I think that if you're really interested in what's doing well, I think you should take a look at, like, why did Gourgeist do well this tournament? Because, I mean, we kind of see a bit of it. Like, yes, there's a lot of Togekiss, sure, but looking at the other Pokemon, Tyranitar is not great against... Well, Tyranitar can be burned by Gourgeist. Gastrodon can, be beaten by Gourgeist. Durant's on his own team, but Milotic, Excadrill, Tyranitar, those are all Pokemon that are kind of worry about Gourgeist. There's a lot of Rotom, Bisharp, kind of... when I look at these top 8 teams, I'm even more surprised that Gourgeist did well. It loses to a lot of these Pokemon. It loses to Togekiss, it loses to Tyranitar, it loses to Dragapult. I would say it loses to Sylveon. Even Excadrill isn't, like, the cleanest matchup, right? They can max Steel Spike, it can Swords Dance in front of you. I mean, Excadrill's actually fine, but there's, like, Arcanine, Bisharp, Gengar, like, all these Pokemon kind of beat Gourgeist down. But it still got 2nd and 3rd, so, each of these players beat somebody else in the top 8. Yeah. So, yeah, Gourgeist is very weird, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm surprised to see it do this well, but clearly these guys knew something that I did not. So, yeah, Gourgeist is a cool Pokemon. Lots of Arcanine, like I mentioned. I know Arcanine's a great... It's looking like in this format, and by this format I mean pre-Incineroar 2020. It's looking like maybe one of the best support Pokemon, aside from Togekiss, but for like stat control, Arcanine is really good. It's another Will-O-Wisp user, so these guys may have had 2 Will-O-Wisp Pokemon on their teams. I know Eduardo had Safeguarded on his Arcanine, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah. Other weird trends, I would have expected to see more Durant, frankly. I would have expected to see more Durant in the top 8. Eduardo looks like the only one who has it. We see a couple Dragapult. This is kind of what I expected. I did mention it in another video before Oceania that Dragapult was kind of trending down and Sand was trending up and Togekiss was trending up. So, yo, True That Guy, thank you very much for the sub. Join the sub Discord. Yeah. Anyway, 2 Sylveon in top 8. So Sylveon is not a Pokemon that's been seen a ton in this format. Like, it's definitely got some usage, but to have it winning the tournament and also getting a top 8 performance is very interesting in my opinion. So, yeah. When I was watching the stream, it felt like Gastrodon was everywhere, but looking at the results, I only see 2 Gastrodon in the top 8, so Gastrodon was, I think, a good call for this tournament. I know that, I remember watching Yuki on stream, and I believe his Gastrodon had Yawn, which is an interesting tech. Definitely not the first time I've seen that, but I think that's a cool tech. Gastrodon just, it needs a lot of its moves, but yeah. And then the other thing is that 4, 5, 6, and 7 all had Rotom Wash, which is definitely interesting in my opinion. Rotom Wash feels like it's been trending up a lot. We can see the 9th place player also had Rotom Wash. So Rotom Wash trending up is interesting. Lots of people running Nasty Plot, lots of people just running raw offense. We've seen some Alice switch from some Rotom, so it's a cool Pokemon. Things that are absent that I would have expected to see or would have considered seeing. The big one is Charizard, in my opinion. Charizard and only 1 Duraludon. Those are 2 things that are very interesting to me because Charizard and Duraludon both won the Dallas Regional Championships. Additionally, the only Whimsicott... So Marco was the only player who had Whimsicott. He was the only player that had Duraludon. He was the only player in top 8 with Rotom. He was the only player in top 8 with Dracovish. So all of those 4 Pokemon were unique to the top 8, which is very, very interesting to me. He is one of 2 Sylveon and one of, looks like 3 Conkeldurr. Man, Sam, shout out to Sam, honestly. Like, the way this is organized makes it so easy to read. All that is very interesting to me because it's not like the whole meta was saying, okay, like Rotom and Duraludon and Dracovish are like really good, right? And Sylveon are all really, and Whimsicott's like amazing right now. It actually looks like the meta said, hey, these Pokemon are not great, and Marco said, hey, I think these Pokemon are good, and he made it work. And I love seeing stuff like that. I love seeing players doing their own thing and succeeding with it. It looks like Marco made a really smart call, and it was a call that other people didn't make, and it's clear, like a sore thumb, how much his team stands out. We also see 2 Gengar and Bisharp. That's partially because the same team is both 4th and 7th, with Nihal and Brady. Yeah, I'd be curious to see how much Gengar and Bisharp representation there is outside of that one team and the rest of the top cut, but it's definitely, I think, higher, for those Pokemon, higher than you would have expected to see them place. 4th place at an international for Gengar and Bisharp, who have seen pretty much no usage the rest of this season, is definitely a surprise, I would say. So, yeah, I think that's all I want to say for the top 8. We see 1 Corviknight at 8th place with Eric Rios, who's a very strong player. Couple Conkeldurr, like I mentioned, like 3 Conkeldurr in top 8, 1 in first, 1 in top 4, and 1 in top 8. Conkeldurr is a great Pokemon. 2 Dragapult, like I mentioned. Lots of sand. I didn't talk too much about it, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Tyranitar and 4 Excadrill. There's a lot of sand right now. Yeah. That felt like going into this tournament, sand, Togekiss, Rotom Wash felt like the big things coming in. And you can see that kind of like standard team, kind of the showdown special of the week. That is what we ended up seeing. Looking at the rest of the teams, I'll just move from 9th down. Standard teams, lots of Togekiss. Look at this. From 9th through 20th, I see 1 team without Togekiss. And it's Zachary Kelly. I think, yeah, I believe, I don't know if I knew Zachary. I saw them on stream, that's right. Yeah. 1 Gothitelle here. You know, not as much Chandelure as I would have expected. Chandelure felt like it was really present on the online ladders, but I only see 1 Chandelure here. We've got a Salazzle in top 16, which is cool. This team is cool. Salazzle, Mudsdale, Umbreon, and Weezing at 14th. That's a very good finish. Like, this is a 2-day tournament, so you have to keep in mind all the players in top 32, like, had to go at worst 6-3, and most of them went 7-2 or better. So, this cool team from Diego using Togekiss, Salazzle, Mudsdale, Umbreon, Gastrodon, and Weezing, getting 14th means they probably went X and 4, if I had to guess. Yeah, that's very interesting. We see a lot more standard teams. We got some cool stuff. UCK using Hitmontop here. We've got some Dusclops representation. Actually, is that the only Dusclops? I would expect to see more Dusclops. I don't know. I guess it makes sense. Oh, there's another one. Shohei at top 16 using Yeah. Something interesting here is that there's a lot less Rotom Wash. Like, we have, okay, look at this. We have 4 Rotom Wash in the top 8, and then if we look at the, like, so that's 8 players, and then if we look at the next, like, 8 players, 1, 2, 3 Rotom Wash here. Or, like, let's see, it just seems like Rotom Wash's usage is going down. So in top 32, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, sorry. Oh, wait, 3, 4, 5. So it's basically, from 1st through 8th, you have as much as, like, about as much as, like, 9th through 32nd, which is really interesting to me. Seems like Rotom Wash was a good call for this tournament. Is this helpful, guys? Do you like when I do this? Like, is this interesting to see how kind of how I break down these trends? Because if it's not interesting, I won't do it again. But if you guys like it, if it's valuable to you, because it's interesting to me, right? Like just looking at Marco's team, for example, and saying, okay, he made a weird call and it worked, right? Like, what other things like looked like they were good calls? Rotom Wash, like, for example. Dragapult, however, looks like it might not have been the best call. We've got some, there's a bunch of Dragapults, I would say. I would be interested to see which Pokemon are more towards the bottom. A Chinchino got top 64. Haley Alberth from the US. That's Chinchino. Minchino? Chinchino. Let's go through the bottom. There's a Durant. Here's a Machamp. It's really cool that these teams got top 64. Machamp, Berserker, another Galarian, Weezing. That's kind of weird. Milotic. Only one so even though Arcanine is really present here, the interesting thing to me is that we only have one Milotic in top 8. That might, and also, like, just because a Pokemon did well, it doesn't necessarily mean that the Pokemon was, or just because there's not a lot of representation of a Pokemon, it doesn't necessarily mean that the Pokemon is bad. It might mean just that people didn't bring it, right? Like, I'm not seeing that much Milotic in general. It's not like I see, like, I mean, I see Milotic in 3rd place, and then it's not like we're just flooded with Milotic. It's like, there's not really that much Milotic. Here's another one down here that finished 63rd. Gothitelle, Milotic, Durant. This looks like the team that was used in Trainer Tower tournament. Let's see what else. Something similar to our Dallas team. Not that similar. It just has Whimsicott and Duraludon. Never mind. Rotom Wash. Lots of more Sylveon, more Dragapult, more Conkeldurr. Not much Vanillux. Vanillux is a Pokemon I could go either way on. Another Milotic. Some Rillaboom. Rillaboom Dracozolt is cool. Togekiss, Charizard. Oh, Mitch used our Mitch. This is an Australian player. Lots of Australian players down here. Oh, that's Henry. I know these guys. They're nice. They're cool. They're homies. Mitch used our Dallas team. There's a Charizard. Did I talk about how there wasn't any Charizard in top 16? Was there a Charizard in top 16? Let's just confirm that. Yeah, no Charizard. No Charizard at all. I mean, it makes some sense with, like, Rotom, honestly, with the Rotoms trending up, especially Rotom Heat, as you can see a bunch 1st place and then a bunch. Like, this isn't a ton of Rotom Heat, but it's still enough. Like, it's a bad matchup for Charizard. It's a very bad matchup for Charizard. Not much in DD. Not much Trick Room, guys, is there? Gourgeist. There's not much. There's no, like, hard Trick Room, which I guess makes sense for an international tournament. We've got a Dusclops option here. Corviknight, another Corviknight. A little surprised to see Corviknight. And DD is cool. Lots. And here's the Gastrodon. Okay, Gastrodon. These are the guys I was watching on stream, I guess. Yeah. Lots of Gastrodon in top 16, but only 1 or 2 in top 8, right? 1 in top 8. That's interesting. See, that's a case of, like, that tells me that maybe Gastrodon was not the play for this tournament, because even though Eduardo got 2nd with it, there's a... Oh, and Eric got 8th. I don't know. That's, like, with all these Gastrodon just outside the top 16, I'm not sure if that means, like, Gastrodon is, like, barely is helping and, like, being consistent. I mean, it's hard to get the top 16 international, so it probably says more about... You need, like, the full stats, I guess, to see how good the Pokemon was doing, but it's interesting that we have so many Gastrodon just outside of top 16. Or top 8, excuse me. Yeah. Other interesting things, standard team here with Shohei, except for Dusclops, it's not that standard. Hitmontop again, 2 Hitmontop in top 16 is a little surprising to me. None in top 8, but 2 in top 16 is interesting, because it's not a Pokemon we saw very much of. Here's, I think, our first Inteleon. Inteleon probably had some trouble with all the Gastrodon going around. Our first Chandelure, I think? Yeah, no Chandelure is very interesting to me. That's very surprising. I expect the US tournaments to be different than this, because I would have expected way more Chandelure. We see a Meowstic. Oh yeah, we saw this one. Oh yeah, Gotti had Meowstic on stream, which is interesting. It's a cool Pokemon, finishing just outside top 16 there. 17th and 18th are unfortunate placings because you're right outside top 16. Team that looks like our Dallas team with Rotom Heat over Charizard. A lot of people seem to be trending towards Rotom Heat and away from Charizard. Togedemaru makes an appearance at 20th place. This is a cool team. Looks like Togedemaru supports the 3 electric weaknesses here. Yeah. Standard teams, like more Gastrodon, more Durant. I'll just quickly scroll through the rest of these. I could probably spend like an hour talking about this, but maybe I'll do it on a stream sometimes, or sometime. But yeah, we see our first Mimikyu at 23rd, which feels loud to me. Yeah. We see our first Mimikyu, more Hitmontop than I would have expected at the top tables. Maybe Hitmontop was a good this tournament. Let's see, what else is going on here? Some Jellicent, not as much Jellicent as I would have expected, but again, Gastrodon being very present might have played a factor in that. A Lapras and a Misharna. This is interesting. This is a cool team. More Hitmontop. We're seeing why is there so much Hitmontop? Hitmontop. Very interesting. Megan Rattle, she got top 8, I believe, at Worlds last year. Dallas team, okay. Some people just took our Dallas team, looks like. Wait, Oliver Escalon. Is that the same team as Inteleon? Let's see what the other Inteleon team is. Inteleon, Chandler, Rotom, Hemo. Yeah, okay. Looks like the same team, if I'm not much mistaken. Yeah, looks like the same team. Okay, yeah, it looks like the same team. So this team seems to have gotten some usage. Justice, cool team with Raichu, Gyarados, Togedemaru. So a lot of Lightning Rod, actually. More Lightning Rod. A lot of Lightning Rod clustered, maybe not across the board. More Rotom Wash. Lots of Rotoms. This tournament was about Rotom, I think. Arcanine, Whimsicott, Cheetor, Excadrill. This is standard. Ferrothorn makes its first appearance, I think. Oh, no, there's one. Ferrothorn, an interesting Pokemon. Dracovish, Darmanitan here. I always forget the thing's name. But we're seeing more Whimsicott now. Whimsicott, right? It's interesting, Whimsicott, right? Whimsicott. It's interesting to me that the only real Whimsicott in top 8 was the one that won the whole thing. So I don't know if that means that Whimsicott is like was not the right call because it's down here, or if it means it was the right call because it won. Maybe the right Whimsicott team or the right Whimsicott set. Yeah, more Hitmontop again. We're just going through Hitmontop. A Sneasel makes 39th with Simon. Interesting. James Beck finishing top 64. Good for him. He gets 130 CP. Hitmontop from James Beck. Interestingly enough, and we're seeing Durant now more often. We see Ludicolo, Milotic. There's some interesting trends. Here's a team very similar to the team that Ludwig used. It's 5 of the 6 Pokemon with Hatterene and Bronzong over Dusclops and Charizard, I think. The fact that Chris Conn is a very good player. The fact that there's an Umbreon. He used Umbreon is interesting. I wonder what it does. I'm very curious about that. Maybe I'll ask him about it. Clefairy gets some usage. More Bisharp, Gengar stuff. Goodra gets some CP. Good for Goodra. More Sylveon. More Durant. Some Raichu. Yeah. Some Charizard. This looks like regular Charizard, though, not Gigantamax. Scrafty makes an appearance. Let's see. More Now we have an Arcanine cluster. Some Gastrodon, Mimikyu, Durant. Yeah. We haven't seen much Snorlax. I would have expected to see more Snorlax. I think that's one thing that is kind of missing here. Powdon Rillaboom makes a play from Henry. This is the guy who invented Feel Cold, I think. Yeah, Henry's the one who invented Feel Cold. So if you guys are aware of that video of mine, Henry's the one who invented it. So good to see him getting top 64 and a good chunk of CP from this. Nice guy. He uses Dracozolt as well. Yeah, not much Dracozolt, which isn't that surprising. And then, like I mentioned, Chinchino, Machamp, a couple cool Pokemon down here. So overall, I'm gonna be honest, a bit more standard than I expected. Like, I would not have expected this much Sand, this much Togekiss, but people were still being creative. They still got some cool stuff. I like that the team that won had some neat stuff on it. And again, it's not all about the Pokemon, right? It's about how the Pokemon are used. Like a weird Togekiss set that functions differently than other Togekiss is still creative, you know, even if it's the same Pokemon. It's almost more creative in a sense because they're taking something that seems like it has like best options figured out, and they're using different things with it. Like Eduardo's Safeguard Arcanine, for example, which of course he's not the first player to do that, but to get second at International with that, maybe it was a cool call, even though there's a lot of Arcanine. So yeah, overall a cool tournament. I had a lot of fun watching what I could. I missed most of Top Cut and I missed most of day 1, but I got a lot of day 2 and I got finals as well. So congratulations to everyone who went, and I hope everyone had fun and it was a good experience. And yeah, congratulations again to the players who did well, got some money, everyone on here got a good chunk of CP. So yeah, nothing to scoff at to place well. Even maybe top 64 is not what some of these players wanted, but it's at a tough tournament like this, it's still very good placing. So yeah, congratulations to everybody. I hope you guys found this interesting in terms of my end and my analysis. Like I know not everybody who watches me is like crazy into VGC and competitive and stuff, but I like to provide this stuff because it's stuff that I would do anyway, most likely. So let me know again if this kind of video is interesting to you, because I don't have to do more of them. Like if the people don't want it, the people don't want it, you know. But for me, it's interesting. So if it's interesting to me, I figure it may be interesting to you guys as well. So I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something out of this, and if not, I hope you had fun. We're just getting something out of it as well. And yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for watching, and subscribe.